Hi guys, welcome to Jessie Tries It. Today I'm going to be doing a video that's a little bit different. I'm going to be sharing with y'all how I found out that I was pregnant and some of the symptoms that I experienced. I'm 22 weeks along right now and I just figured it was high time I finally made a video about it. Before I was pregnant, I absolutely binge watched a ton of videos of women sharing their stories about how they knew they were pregnant or how they found out and the symptoms that they went through, and it was so helpful for me to just connect with women who were feeling the same way that I was. So we're gonna have fun with this today. Okay, let me show you the 22-week bump. Most people say that my belly looks pretty small. You can get a good view there. Stay on my tippy toes. But to me it feels huge because my back is not used to carrying a ton of weight, so I can definitely feel the bump more than people can notice it. But this child is kicking a ton. Sometimes it's so strong that I can literally see my whole belly just jump. It's crazy. Those are kind of rare kicks, but once in a while it happens, so I have to look out for those. So maybe I'll start with giving you guys a little bit of background. So me and my husband have been married for, now it's been like a year and 8 months, so technically almost 2 years. When we first got married, we both agreed that we wanted to wait at least 1 full year before we started trying to start a family. I'm currently 25 years old and he's 2 years older than me. So we're at that age where we wanted to wait, but we didn't want to wait too long because right now we're young, we're healthy, we can raise kids, and also my body's going to handle pregnancy well. I just feel like I'll be able to bounce back a lot easier after pregnancy at this age. So we didn't want to wait too long, but we did want to wait 1 full year. And I'll tell you guys, it was so hard to wait because I wanted to have children. I've been dreaming about the children that I'm gonna have since I was a little girl. So it's I've just always wanted to be a mom, and I just knew when I met my husband that he was gonna be an amazing dad and that our children were just gonna be absolutely gorgeous because he's so cute. But yeah, so I made it. I waited the entire year. I didn't bother about it. But in the back of my mind I was always wondering, boy, I hope that I'll be able to conceive. I've never had any hormone issues that I'm aware of, and nothing else strange, except I've always had extremely heavy periods. I haven't taken any birth control or anything in my life, so I knew that was kind of working in my favor. There was nothing that I had to really detox from, per se. So even though the odds looked really good, I was still in the back of my brain, I was like, oh, I hope I can conceive, But pushed those fears aside, and around came, I think it was around December that we first started trying. There were other things to consider, he was working full-time and I was doing full-time school. So just trying to figure out how this whole parenting thing was going to work, or trying to have a baby. And then the pandemic hit, so my husband was able to come home for an entire month, and yeah, but I'm kind of getting ahead of myself. So we first started trying in December. Nothing happened. I was a little bit anxious after that first month. I swear I was reading into every single symptom that I was feeling. They were all PMS symptoms, of course, the cracking back, the aches and the pains and stuff, just the usual. But I was oh my goodness, I'm probably pregnant. I was convinced every month that I was pregnant, but I wasn't. So December, nothing happened. Actually, no, I'm sorry, that was January. January, nothing happened. February came around, it was our anniversary, really, really romantic month, and nothing happened that month either, so I was starting to get a little concerned. I was Um, and then week, month 3 came around, and it was March, and that ended up being the month that we conceived. So, first of all, so I mentioned earlier that I haven't really taken any birth control or anything. So, in order to basically birth control, we were doing it the natural way. If you don't know what that is, you can probably look it up. But it worked really well for us. Um, so I was familiar with timing. I was familiar with taking ovulation tests and stuff just to know when I was ovulating or about to ovulate and when that whole thing was over. That way, like, I knew when making a baby time was and when it wasn't, so that we didn't like have a baby when we didn't want to have one. So that was kind of my natural method of family planning. And so when the time came to try to conceive, I tried it both ways. I tried not using ovulation tests, and I tried using ovulation tests. And I have to say, I really, really liked using ovulation tests better than not. Because first of all, it gives you peace of mind knowing that, oh, at least I ovulated this month, so that wasn't an issue. And then it also helps you to narrow down, if you know exactly when you're ovulating, then you can like maybe do it twice that day, the deed. So I just knew that I wanted to use or continue to use ovulation tests. And yeah, I think there were a couple of months where I actually couldn't find my ovulation. I don't know if that's because I actually didn't ovulate or what, but so that kind of scared me a little bit. But just like as a tip for you guys, if you haven't used ovulation tests and you want to start using them, just be prepared that your timing is probably going to be off as far as when you test and you don't test. Don't just assume, oh my gosh, I couldn't find my ovulation, I'm not ovulating. Don't worry about that. Sometimes you just miss it. So if you're like me, like I'm not consistent. Sometimes I ovulate early, sometimes I ovulate super late, and I don't have enough money to basically give myself an ovulation test every single day. So sometimes I just miss it. But it can tell you a lot about your body, for sure. Okay, so the first month I used ovulation tests, found it. It didn't work. We didn't conceive that month. Second month, I actually didn't use any tests. I was just like, you know what, I'm going to put it out of my mind. I'm not even going to think about it. And that didn't work either. But I tried. And then the third month, I did the ovulation tests. I timed it perfectly. I knew right when I was ovulating. And, we just communicated with each other about it. We decided to go ahead and do the deed twice that day. And we felt really good about it. Like, I told him, I was like, I just really feel like this is the month. And little did I know that it really was. But the funny thing is it was getting really close to my period, and I started having all of the period-like symptoms that I always get. For me, I always know my period is going to come when my back starts to crack. Like, or pop. It's the weirdest thing, but it only happens right when my period is going to happen. So as soon as my back started popping, I knew it was like, my period's coming. I completely accepted that. I made peace with it. I did not think I was pregnant at all. And looking back, it's so funny because there were so many signs that I was pregnant, but I totally missed them all. So sign number 1 that I was pregnant was bloating. I got so bloated. Like my tummy just like expanded. And no, it wasn't the baby, it was like hormones and stuff. I just didn't know that. I remember sitting down and having a conversation with my mom, and I was just telling her how depressed I was because I had just taken a PE class the quarter before trying to conceive, and I was in shape. Like, I lost a lot of weight. I think I weighed, well, we won't talk about my weight, but I was at a good weight. I was healthy, I was strong, and then I was just sharing with her how depressed I was, and like, in literally a month, it's all undone. My tummy's like so big. I didn't realize I was pregnant. Um, so that was sign number one, was bloating. My mom was a little bit suspicious, but I was like, no, my back's popping, so my period's coming. I just accepted that. Um, Sign number two, and I'm one of those girls where I do tend to get more emotional when I'm PMSing. So to me, that really didn't stand out. But I remember I had one day, and it was kind of when the pandemic first started, and I remember the stores were kind of empty. I was looking for things at Costco, and it was just like I couldn't find anything that I needed. And I remember I just started crying in the store, and I was like, this is kind of weird. Like, why am I being so emotional? This is really, really stupid. And I just remember, my husband was being really supportive and sweet about it, but, it was just kind of a rough day. I was just emotional about everything. And I think sign number three was we were doing a remodel during this whole time because we bought a new home and we were wanting to move in. It was taking like 6 months to remodel. And I remember I had a lot of energy. I had no trouble like getting my hands dirty and working with my husband. But for some reason, all of a sudden, it's like I just decided I was done. My motivation was just shot. I remember I was painting cabinets and I just like stopped. I looked at him and I was like, I don't want to do it. I'm done. I don't want to paint anymore. It was so weird. I've never had that where like I couldn't like talk myself into working. I was just so demotivated. I didn't want to do anything. And then I think sign number four was before I conceived, I had no trouble staying up late. Like, me and my husband could stay up late, watch shows together, and just talk before going to bed. And then all of a sudden, like every single night, I just started falling asleep. Like, before my husband did. He'd still be watching, and I would just doze off and just be out. So I was like a lot more tired. Yeah, so those had those signs. I want to say, so I did have some light cramping, but it really wasn't anything that raised any alarm bells. Like, it's still common to get little twinges and cramps when you're getting ready to have your period. Another thing, looking back, that I recognize now is so the first 2 months we tried to conceive, I had this weird thing going on where I'm pretty sure I was ovulating from my left side, and then right before my period would come, I'd get this sharp, like, just horrible pain. I would like even think like, what is this, like a ectopic pregnancy or something? But no, I mean, I still don't know what that was, but it was like both those 2 months we were trying to conceive, it just hurt like a son of a gun, and then my period would come and it'd be like really heavy. But this month, I was really thankful I actually didn't have that pain, and I'm pretty sure I ovulated from my right side because I can always feel those little twinges and pulls. So that was something that was different about that month. I ovulated from my right side and I didn't have that sharp pain. So that was another sign that I should have picked up on pretty quick, but I didn't. So I was in denial about this, even though I wanted it really bad. But I was already preparing to try for the next month. And okay, so how I actually found out I was pregnant was my cycle was due like the next day. Like, it wasn't even late yet. And I was sleeping and I had this vivid dream. Like, it was so real. It was just this happy dream where I found out that I was pregnant. And I was telling like our parents, and they were so happy, and I was just like, oh, it was such a good feeling. And it was so sad to wake up super early in the morning and find out that like it wasn't true. I was just like, oh, this is torture. And then I just sat straight up in bed and I just went right to the bathroom and I was like, I'm gonna take a pregnancy test. It was so weird. I just woke up out of that dream and like, I'm just gonna take a test. So I took it. It's one of those cheapos from Amazon. I was convinced that they were broken or whatever, but I still took it. And at first I didn't see anything. And this is like super early in the morning, so I'm still kind of out of it. And I look again a little bit later, like I think after the 2 minutes, and I saw a very faint line, but it was distinct, like it was there. You didn't have to like squint your eyes. Like it was a very distinct faint line. And I just paused and I was just like, I think my eyes got like huge. And I was just like, oh my gosh, and my heart was just like, what? This has gotta be like a joke. This is crazy. Like I totally accepted that I wasn't pregnant. And this whole time I was thinking to myself like cute ways that I would tell my husband, but you know what? I was like, I was in shock. So I literally just walked into the bedroom and he was sleeping and I just woke him up. I just stood there in the doorway and I was like, babe, I've got something to tell you. And he's like, what? I was like, I'm pregnant. And it was so funny because he was so out of it. Like, he just woke up out of a sleep. He does not like to be woken up. And he's just like, what? Are you sure? And I showed it to him. It was faint, but he could see it too. And he's like, he was in denial. Like, he was happy, but he was just like overwhelmed. Like, it just took him the whole day, like that whole day, to just like soak it in and be like, oh, we made a child. And you know, for me, I still had to overcome the shock of it too. Like, just praise God. Like, we were praying so hard. Well, I was praying really hard. I don't think he was worried that we would conceive, but I was. So I was praying really hard. But I had peace in my heart. I knew that God would let this happen in his own good timing. So it was a really good experience all around. So yeah, I just told him right away, and then we ended up telling my parents at the end of that day. We got them cute little coffee mugs, and we just wrote promoted to grandma, promoted to grandpa on it, and it just totally shocked them. They thought we were getting a birthday gift from my brother because his birthday was the next day. And so they thought it was something for him, and then they looked at it and they're like, ah! I've never seen my mom so happy. She like cried and it was emotional. It's their first grandchild, so yeah, that was pretty awesome. Kind of brightened up the whole like quarantine situation. So yeah, so that day actually that I took that Amazon test, I told my husband, I was like, okay, well, you know, to make this official, I should just try to take a digital test. So I took a digital test that same day, and it said pregnant. And I know that you have to have some good HCG in order for it to read that. So I knew, I was like, okay, this is not a mistake, like this is for real. And then each day I took a couple more tests, and the HCG levels just like doubled and doubled, and it got super dark. So yeah, so that's basically how I found out I was pregnant. And it was so funny because when I told my husband I was pregnant, I was like sitting on the bed and I was like looking at him, he was like looking at me, and I said, how can I be pregnant? Like, I didn't have any pregnancy symptoms. And then as soon as those words came out of my mouth, like blood started running down my nose. And I don't know if you guys know this, but like that's a pregnancy symptom. Like the blood vessels in your nose are like weak, or they're dilated or something weird with the blood vessels in your nose. But you can just have like spontaneous nosebleeds, and I had one, and that was just like classic. I'm like, I don't have pregnancy symptoms. So that kind of confirmed that. And then yeah, I think after that next symptom I experienced like shortly after finding out I was pregnant was just like shortness of breath, which I'm only experiencing more and more the further along that I get. And yeah, it's been a roller coaster. I would say the first trimester was super rough. I had hyperparesis gravidarum and it was not fun. I lost 12 pounds or more. I was so sick. Thankfully I didn't have to go to the hospital. I think technically I had to go to the hospital, but I didn't go because I did not want to get COVID. So I just yeah. Maybe in another video I'll share with you guys some tips and tricks, things that helped me get through those couple of months, but yeah, they were very rough. It was excruciating. In my second trimester though, I feel amazing. I am nesting like crazy. I got to show you guys the nursery and maybe some DIYs that I'm going to be doing for it. I don't know what I'm having. I'm like 22 weeks along and I still don't know what I'm having. I'm actually going to find out this Wednesday. We're going to do a gender reveal with his parents and my parents. So I'm super excited. I think it's a boy. I would really like to have a girl, but I think it's a boy. My mom had like 5 boys. So that's all I have to say about that. I guess we'll just have to find out. But yeah, it's tough. We have the gender in our house. It's in an envelope right now, and it is so hard for me not to just go in there and like rip it open and take a look, because I'm like, what is this child inside of me? I try to ask the baby like, kick if you're a girl or kick if you're a boy, and it doesn't say anything. So yeah, I'm gonna find out soon, and then I'm just gonna be able to really knock out that baby registry and figure out if I'm doing pink or doing blue. So yeah, maybe I'll post a video about our gender reveal if I can get any footage. But yeah, that's it for today. That's how I found out that I was expecting and some of the symptoms that I missed. Oh, and by the way, I found out that I was pregnant at 11 DPO. That is extremely early. So if you don't get a positive pregnancy test at 11 DPO, it's fine. Technically, you know, implantation happens a little bit later. It could happen earlier. I think could take like, I think the longest it could take is like a week or 8 days or something. But yeah, so mine was early. So yeah. Thank you guys so much for watching my video. It was really fun sharing about how I found out that I was pregnant. Oh, and by the way, I've been using this daily journal that my mom gave me as a gift, and I absolutely love it. It like follows each day of your pregnancy. It has lunar months and then the regular months. So yeah, that's how I've been like tracking how I've been feeling, like how my waist is growing, things that I want to remember and cherish about this pregnancy. And who knows, maybe I'll give it to my son or daughter to read through one day. But yeah. So guys, this is the ovulation test kit that I got from Amazon that I really loved. It's super easy to use. It comes with 50 ovulation tests and 20 pregnancy tests. Yeah, it's just so easy to use. It comes with an app that goes with it called Pre-Mom, and it's super easy because there's like instructions in here. Basically tells you how to do everything, and there's instructions on the sides of the box as well. Yeah, it's pretty cut and dry. It's definitely, you get your money's worth with this, for sure. Thank you guys for watching my video on Jessie Tries It. Yeah, I really enjoyed making this video. Maybe I'll do more similar videos about pregnancy or parenting. I also want to do a lot of DIY projects and stuff, and of course more recipes. So yeah, God bless.